Hello, everyone. My name is Sean O'Neill. I'm an industry process consultant here at Dassault System, and I'm joined by Philipp Glonner. He is the CEO of Arthur-Bus. Philipp, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm actually quite amazed about the whole setup here in Dallas. I mean, the exhibition is just worth it, you know. I came all the way from Munich, Germany, but I would come again. Like, it's an easy choice, to be honest, yeah.
It's quite impressive, right?
Yeah.
I've met so many people from all over the world here. You know, Egypt, Sudan,
Yeah.
so many different countries. Everyone's doing different things. Impressive things in their own right, but very, very different things. You are someone who's doing something very impressive. I have a lot of questions for you. Hope that's okay.
Yeah. Sure.
But let's just start off. You know, we mentioned at the intro of this mini segment here that you're the CEO of Arthur-Bus. So please tell us a bit about what Arthur-Bus does.
Sure. So basically, in a nutshell, we produce and we also develop our own zero-emission buses. And I would call it our flagship or our, I would say, biggest thing right now. It's called the Arthur H20, which is a 12-meter hydrogen city bus. And yeah, we've developed it completely from scratch. So that's the reason why we're here, and I had also therefore the opportunity to present it on the big stage, and yeah, I was actually quite nervous about this.
I have the easy job here on Solidworks Live, right? It's always my camera and I, and of course the guest. But yeah, looking out into the audience with thousands of people, it's a bit of a challenge at times, right? Yeah. It's a little intimidating, even when you're changing the world with technology.
So it felt like I had to lay a big egg, and it was like formed as a brick. So I wasn't quite comfortable at the beginning, but I really had such a good time, and everybody from Dassault Systems and also Solidworks, like huge shout out to everybody who organized all of it, because I know that there's so much going on in the background. It's a huge machine running there, and it's running rock solid, I gotta say. Like everything perfectly on point organized. So yeah, thanks to everybody who helped out there. But yeah, I just had a blast since I came here.
Thanks, man. We do it for you.
Yeah.
Try to put you on, right? The impressive things that our customers are doing with our technology. And speaking of, you know, getting a bit more into your passions, your ambitions, your backstory. You know, you talked about your buses a bit, clean energy. How did you get into that field?
Yeah, it's a good question because, like, some people know me, of course, from Germany, and I used to start with my first ventures. I even had a sports car rental business.
Really?
Yeah, so
okay.
I got from that to zero-emission buses. You know, it's quite a transition, I would say.
In a way,
yeah.
It's funny you say that because in a way, it's like, well, it's a vehicular transformation.
Yes,
use these big conference words we have here, right? But in another way, yeah, in terms of power sources, that's a huge difference.
100%. Well, by the way, our bus has like a power button, so it's quite fun and agile. Yeah,
oh, interesting.
We kind of did like the Tesla approach there. But like how it started, like, I mean, I grew up basically at like I didn't literally grow up in a garage or a workshop, but my dad had a small garage where he like fixed cars for his family and friends and everybody who needed his help. And yeah, that's when I started as a kid, like even changing a clutch like on a very young age, or doing like oil change and all of these things to maintain a regular car. And that's why I always, like, I fell deeply in love with automotive, with all vehicles and everything that can be electrified or powered by anything. So like my slogan nowadays is I would even electrify a horse, but I don't want to get like any troubles with PETA or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to expand too quickly.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. But that's when I started to get into engineering more. At first, I studied like economics. I thought like, you know, I want to be like this Wall Street kind of guy, and then it was 2008, and it was like, you know, this financial crisis wasn't so nice after all.
Yeah.
And I would like to do something real.
Yeah.
And not just push paper. And no offense to bankers and everybody, I actually love what is behind the whole thing. But that's when I started to go into engineering. Because at first I was scared about the exams, you know, physics and math.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm not going to make it, you know.
Yeah.
But I actually did exceed quite well. And that's when I started with my first engineering job at BMW. And that was my first stage. And it started with, of course, petrol engines there.
Yeah.
It was a pre-development for 4-cylinder engines at the serial production there. And yeah, I had just such an amazing time there from the start. I worked on 4-cylinder, 8-cylinder, 12-cylinder engines, like from first to last screw, like everything that you need to know about an engine. And then kind of I was looking for a job there because I liked it so much in quality management. And then they told me, you know, they're going to decrease the line. They're not going to produce 2,000 units per day. And I'm like, so why are they decreasing it? I said, yeah, they're just going to decrease it. And then I thought about it, like, what's actually going to happen here at this plant? And it was the first time I took the initiative and said, I applied with an open application to the alternative powertrain solutions at BMW. And because I thought like that's going to be the future. And yeah, I was kind of right, I guess.
You're kind of right, yeah.
Yeah.
The future could be a day from now, it could be 10 years from now, right? But
Yes. And that's how it all started. And then I kind of fell in love with the electrified propulsion. So I was there responsible for rolling out some big innovation project for 2 production plants. Where they produce the i8 and also the i3. And it's, I would say the main project was always connected with producing electric machines or the electric engines, but also high voltage battery assembly. So I knew all about electric propulsion from there on. And yeah, that's the reason why I probably know more about buses now.
It makes a lot of sense.
As you can imagine,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, that's how it started actually, yeah.
You know, there's an interesting stat that you were able to, or factoid about you that I read. You were able to independently develop from scratch, to a genuine OEM bus in what was
It's actually true, yeah.
I don't understand that. How did that? So a genuine OEM version of your bus, an electric bus, and by the way, I mean that's a serious deal. When you talk about CO2 and its equivalents and transportation, right? We all have to get around. America, where we are now, it is a largely a driving country. So when you think about the output, and buses are huge, historically have been huge offenders, right? So to get to that point, in a year, what was that journey like? What happened? Yeah, how did you do that?
I mean, the whole project started out basically us saying, okay, like, to me inside, and I get to that in a second, why we were so fast, but you need to understand, like, I have a big team behind me. Right now, it's we are around 50 people at the moment.
Okay, awesome.
And we're only 2.5 years old at this stage right now. So the thing is, I caught everybody on the team with, like, the vision. I said, if you're done pushing paper and feeling sorry for whatever kind of job you have and you don't feel, let's say, must be a bigger thing that I want to accomplish or be a part of at some point in your life, then I said, this is the transition you should be a part of. I mean, just like, you can be so lucky that we even have time to work on this thing right now.
That's a great perspective to have.
We not just continue to work on, I don't know, combustion engines as we did for the last 20 years, so there's something new. And I said, if you want to have an impact today, systematic contribution to mobility, then that's the thing, with the bus. Just like as a case or as an understanding, to give you 2 numbers, just in Germany alone, which is very small compared to any state probably in the US, but we transport daily in Germany around 20 million people on an average weekday with buses and save around 14 million car trips. So that's fulfilling a public need or the need of mobility. I want to go to work, I want to see my, I don't know, parents or whatever.
Yep.
Like, that's an actual contribution that the buses deliver. But those buses must be green because they rely right now very much on the diesel. And they impact quite a lot with 75 tons of CO2 equivalent that they produce, 1 bus per year.
Wow.
I said, we can do something here together. And that's what, I don't know, caught the team together. I said, I will provide you, I don't know, a corporate identity you can be proud of. It's something that you can say, I'm part of this project. It looks good, it feels good, and it's doing good. And that's pretty much how it all started, like, light the fire in the team.
Yeah.
And then they stayed on a Saturday, Sunday, they did over hours, they did everything. It was, honestly, such a phenomenal experience. And those developers are just family now because they give everything to the company the same as I did. Sweat, tears, and hardship, and they made it. Within 1 year, And let's say add 2 months for the actual homologation to get it back from the European Ministry, but 250 pages of homologation BS of what else do you have to do, like electromagnetic compatibility testing,
Yeah.
whatever, crash test scenarios, like
Sure.
braking without power and all these things that you need, and even the ELK test, you know, to make a certified vehicle with a European Vehicle Type Approval Certificate. And
So
that was accomplished within 1 year.
that's incredible. So at this point, you're over 2 years,
Yes.
right? So you just mentioned that. Talk about the journey that has been through that, 1 year-ish marker through to today, and how has technology, the software particularly with 3D Experience, how has it helped you in that journey?
Tremendously. We saved a lot of time and money. And that's important
That's
as a young
important, yeah.
company. Because we did all of the big simulations that we needed also for the homologation to obtain, like stability testing, mass balancing, like everything that needs to be done on the vehicle. From the metal that we formed, to the plastics, to the wiring harnesses, all of it in one platform. And it was just like, as I said, saving costs on simulations, but also, I would say, the tremendous performance behind it and the flexibility that the team needed. Because if they continue to work, they need to go home and shower, but they continue to work, you know? And that's what I say, please have access.
I do
don't
find
care.
time on my busiest Saturdays and Sundays to at least shower, so I understand that, yeah.
So I said, you know, if we want to continue, I wouldn't tell anybody to don't do it, because I love it. I'm the same. Like, they send me an email, I reply. And I don't know, 4 in the morning, they're like, go to bed. I was like, you go to bed.
You go to bed.
Yeah, and then, so that's the thing, and basically helped us in terms of performance. We import a lot of parts and components that we buy because we are an OEM, and the other ones, they do the same. You have a lot of suppliers. And we have around 200 for the biggest parts that we buy in for us. And to import these, let's say, data models, we always need to ensure that we can bring it to our main assembly together in one box on the platform. And just the rework time to, I don't know, get the faults out of the 2 models, merging them together, is just so much faster. And just to have the whole assembly with 80,000 parts in one combined model, to look at it and let it explode, that's, to me, that's the Iron Man stuff. And I really love this, you know, like working with Jarvis. And I was like, that's exactly what the company needed. And right now, it's, I think, the best choice we have done looking forward, because the wise choices are always the one that affect you on the long term. And as I see right now, even BMW shifting with 11,000 licenses in Germany to the cloud, it's the right choice.
It's incredible, to think about just how enthusiastic you are about this.
It's the best project I've ever worked in my entire life.
Because, like coming, there are points at a conference like 3D Experience World where, of course, you're trying out a little bit. You're doing a lot of walking, a lot of sessions, a lot of mental and physical work, right? You're going out and you're networking, you're making business connections. So there are going to be times you're thinking like, oh man, I'd really like to rest for a bit.
Sometimes you also think like, am I absolute crazy? Why did I do this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we all have those thoughts, right? But yeah, I have to say candidly, when you got to this desk and you started talking about not just your company, but the purpose of your company and your team.
Yeah.
That you came alive. You're like, you're
but that's
invigorated.
what makes the whole project fun, and that's why it makes sense. You know, we spent this amount of time on this planet. So I rather want to spend it with people, and I want to spend it with a purpose. So that's basically it. Yeah.
That's huge. So I find, you've mentioned some interesting numbers, right? In the course of just your company's duration, your history, right?
Yeah.
Talked about a year, about 2.5 years. Where is Arthur Bus in 5 years?
I would say top 3 zero-emission bus producers, at least in Europe. And yeah, I would say let's aim for an IPO, because it would just make sense as an OEM to go there, get some public capital inside of the company. I don't want to do the reporting though. Have a good legal team and a lot of advisors.
Yeah.
Because I hate them the most, but they're necessary. But
you really don't want to go back into any sort of finance, do you?
I
you're
love
totally
it
out of
actually.
it.
No, it's a passion of mine, but it's a kind of hate-love relationship.
I know exactly what you mean. We all have those things.
Yeah, but that's what I'm aiming at. Let's say, and let's see each other on the stock exchange in 5 years. Yeah.
That would be awesome. just before we wrap here, just this one final question.
Yes.
I know you're in your specific area. You're targeting, let's put it generally, transportation. But we know that there are a lot of areas where we need to work towards more sustainable energy, more sustainable ways of doing things. What is the key right now, just broadly? Like, what do we need to be doing more as a society to get towards those goals?
And that's the best question for today, because that's another reason why we're on the cloud. Not just have a virtual twin for the product, but also for the city. To have a city scenario to showcase it for a customer and to basically say, where is the energy coming from? How do I store it? How do I distribute it? And then I can talk about the actual mobility case, which we do the best for the bus, of course, but the rest needs to be understood and connected.
Awesome.
And that's it in a nutshell, yeah.
Well, Philipp, like you said, maybe I'll see you on the floor of the NYSE when you go public.
I would love to.
I will be looking for you, definitely. But I'm so inspired by you. I'm so glad I met you. We'll have to take a photo right after this. Thank you so much for dropping in.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, really.
Absolutely.
Thank you.